Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Lech Dech Moser podcast. We continue with Pele Yoeitz, page 68, day 25 of Hachzik, and we are in the middle of what a lady should do if she's married to a wicked person, a person who has terrible midas. He abuses her in every which way, and he's a hothead, and we spoke about ish tukarba, that he has mamash midas that go on fire and they're uncontrollable. And how does a lady deal with this situation? We discussed yesterday that she shouldn't go and expose his misconduct to others, because that's only going to escalate and make the situation worse, and ultimately it'll be counterproductive. And certainly she shouldn't open up to her parents about it. So what should she do? For this reason, her father or mother, if they're people of wisdom and understanding, even if they're told by their daughter that her situation is terrible, how should they respond? How should they act? They should make it as if they're not aware of anything. The Kabul as Baila b'sever panam yafis, l'teves bitam, and continue to greet their son-in-law with a pleasant countenance, a sever panam yafis, for this will ultimately be the best thing for their daughter. Even should they wish to express their opinion and admonish the men in a straightforward way, because they think this will be a constructive solution. They have to find ways to make it sound like a rumor. They maybe heard something in a matter of kilachayar. We call it an halacha mesich lifnei tumai, the back door, behind the curtain, and they should say something maybe, but never to be confrontational, so that the husband will not suspect that his wife is the one who revealed the issue to her parents. But says the Pele Yoeitz that the ideal, the highest level, but the best way of going about in this very uncomfortable, very complicated situation is just to pretend as if they don't know anything. We said this before in the Pele Yoeitz, that sometimes there's situations where a parent, they're being mechanech their children. Sometimes they have to act like a chirish, and like an ilam, like a deaf person and a mute, that they can't hear, they can't talk. Sometimes they have to turn a blind eye, as we say in English. And over here it's the same thing, as heart-wrenching as it is. But that's the advice we're seeing over here. And as we said yesterday, this is nothing practical. And as we mentioned from the article note, that in these times, 200 years ago, they didn't have access to what we have access to today. So obviously there's nothing concrete, there's no conclusive advice or opinion over here. This is just the text, and one should always consult with their Rav, their Das Torah, their whoever it is. And the reason why this should be is so that the parents don't become hated and an object of hate and is outrage and inner flames as well, which will create an impossible environment for the marriage to turn around. Even as this terrible ordeal unfolds, the wife should act as a bride who is found to be perfect in her father-in-law's house and is eager to go report her praises in her father's house. She should do her best. Very, very difficult, but she should make it as if everything is great, everything is fine. She shouldn't make it as if there's literally an open fire in her house. And indeed, this chus itself, where she is putting away her own personal needs and emotions, which are vital, and Hashem wants her to take care of it. But the advice that we are proposing over here is that by not exposing one's husband and not letting the world know and escalating and making the situation worse and deepening it, worsening the situation, that in itself will be a schos, hopefully, that the marriage can turn around. That'll be a merit that will protect her from evil and earn herself a happy end to her troubles. And in truth, the rebuke of her family members will usually be ineffective with such a man in any case, and it's much better and likely more effective if she herself corrects her husband at the right moment, when those times, if those times do occur, with pleasing words, using all of her charm and compassion. Those pockets of times are going to be way more fruitful than by telling her parents and telling her relatives and by getting them involved, because ultimately you're exposing the midas of a rasha, of a wicked person, of an abusive individual, and by letting the world know is definitely not going to be productive. On the contrary, it'll be very counterproductive. And of course, everything has a source. As it says in the pasuk in Mishlei, a soft tongue can break even a strong bone. And of course, this woman should also pour out her heart before Hashem on a daily basis. And perhaps Hashem will favor her, and her heartfelt pleas will be effective to return her husband to better ways. And then she too will find great reward and serenity when his behavior improves and their relationship becomes the blessed union that it should be.